Welcome everyone to the second garden tour of the year for 2025. It is the 31st of September, I believe. We will start over here with most of the items, though this one on the end is not. We have two MA warthogs. These look like Annuum peppers. I did not expect that. Got two phenos. There's one right there. The other ones are actually growing upward. Then we have RB003 by Primatali. Nice long ones. You'd kind of expect from the tails of the Primatali and the wardiness or braininess of the RB003. Next we have, and I'm going to jump around here this time because I have the different plants to make it worthwhile. So we have the LSJ, the lemon spice jalapeno. These are one of the best jalapeno I've had, basically. There are three in this one 15-gallon container. They're doing all right. As you can see, I'll zoom out a bit here. It gets a little crowded out by the ones around it. I have two more. There's one right here. This is supposed to be a LSJ, and this guy is also supposed to be an LSJ. So this is just what happens. Oh, there's Ruby. Hey, Ruby. This is what happens when you have open pollinated plants. There will be plenty here today that I can show you guys this phenomenon. I don't know if I see any bees around right now, but there are plenty, always. I don't spot any bumblebees. It's kind of odd. Anyways, so these guys are red. I tried a piece of these, and they're a little sweet, actually. Not very spicy. These guys are bright orange, soft as hell, and sweet as could be. They are absolutely zero heat, but it is assumed that it is also an F1. So that means when you grow it next year for an F2, you could grow 1,000 different seeds and get 1,000 different phenotypes of plants. So there's always a decision you have to make. Am I going to grow this again? See if I get the awesomeness? And a lot of times I'm like, let's do it. So we'll see about this guy. But this guy, this orange one, is literally one of the better peppers I've had for the sweet end. It's juicy as could be, considering how nice and pliable it is. It's just all juice in there. It's great. I'm excited. But I shouldn't be, because I might not get what I want. Oh, look at this Stella. Hi. Next up over here, next to the LSJ, we have a Nora and a Picilio. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. That's alright though. Let me get my phone up in here. Look at that guy. That is the Picilio and the Nora from last year. These are amazing peppers. They have just a slight mouth burn and a good amount of heat, a good amount of sweetness. Great flavor. Next, we have what actually is possibly an F2, a result of taking a unknown pepper from last year and just growing it again. This peach one right here is kind of what it looked like last year. This is not what it looked like last year. So I grew two of these last year. I had a red one and a more peach one. It was like this, but it was even a little bit oranger, less looking like this. I don't know how to describe it. But we got a lot of these good peppers. I sent them off to someone and they said they tasted like cotton candy, which is perfect in what you want out of a pepper, right? Then I sent them to someone else and he said his actually looked more like this when you grew it, and he said it was habanero level heat. So that leads me to believe perhaps the peach orange colored one was the incorrect, and I'm now growing an F2. So we will see. I haven't tried those yet. I tried not to pick too many peppers out here so that I could give you all a nice good view of what it looks like when they get nice and potted up. And these next two here, we have a cross that I found called a jalapeno and it's an unknown Marconi. Maybe it's Marconi, maybe it's something else. But we got a bigger one here. We got a longer one there. Different little phenos there. And the back one we have a bit smaller. I got that, and well, I guess those are bigger too over there. Or one in the end. Then over here we got a much fatter one up front. And we got in the back some smaller red ones. And then in the front, more fatter ones. Those had a perfect level of sweetness last year, almost raspberry, reminding me of. And then over here we have the ahi mango. This is a Baccatum. You can see by the calyx teeth. Let's get it in the side of the sun there. That is a trait of a Baccatum. This is two plants in here, but it is just loaded with peppers. Let's move these leaves here. There we go. That's cool. Those are the ripe ones in there, nice and orange. They have a pretty low level of heat, and being a Baccatum, it's a less painful of a heat, more of a mouth burn. On the end here, this is a real cool one. In the back side, I kind of planted this as in a yin-yang, right? So these 5 on this end were darker, and the 5 on the back end here were lighter. These are called Kashmiri by Fluorescent. They normally have this really nice bright purple coloring to the pods when they're not in full sunshine, like up here. You can see in full sunshine it's a lot darker purple, and on the back side nice and light purple. But this is what they're supposed to look like, a nice white and green with some purple hints like in the stems. And then last year, one of them that I grew was just like this. Right, so I had to wonder, is this actually a different phenotype of the plant that it's just putting out, or is it a cross, an F1? I think it's actually a different pheno. I shotgun planted 20-30 seeds maybe of each, and I picked out the best of each, basically the darkest over here and the most variegated over there. And these are really, really cool. You can see wherever you see bright purple is actually variegated. So if this was in, I guess you can see down here, this is one of them too, but seeing as it's so shaded being down here, and I just turned it around because this was actually in the back. That's what it would look like if it wasn't in the full sun. If it was in the shade, it would still grow and look like that. But once it gets in the sun, this is an anthocyanin, I think what you call it, response that it puts out to protect the leaves from the sun. Pretty cool. Next we have another cross that I found. I named it the Nanner Jammer. It was bought as a banana pepper from a big box store, and it came out looking basically just like this, but it was a lower heat and very, very tasty and very, very useful. There's another pheno there. Here's another guy right here. And then I actually have 2 more over here. Bit of a jungle over here. So deep in here you can see some of those longer ones back there. That's what they are. And then also what we got here. And we got a cross. The bees had fun. Next we have the LSJs, and then we have some Mexibels. These I also found at a big box store. I sold at all the Home Depots, the Walmarts, the Fleet Farms over here in Wisconsin. And then there is a second Mexibel as well. I'm a big fan of these guys. They're nice and juicy. They're thick. There's actually another next to this over here. There's one right there. And then we have another cross with these. These are really cool. I've never seen an Annuum turn into a that's called a bubble gum. You can see the calyx is changing colors along with the pod. And this thing is just absolutely loaded with these peppers, all up and down it. But it's kind of growing a little bit more like a chinense rather than a Annuum. So chinense is actually what all of the other bubblegum peppers I've grown are. I don't know how likely it is that a chinense got crossed with an Annuum, but my guess is that's what happened. And there are also two, is it two more or just one more? One more. One more right here in my oval garden. These ones have a little bit bigger peppers going on. Not horribly bigger, but most of them are a nice big size. And then lastly, in this little section over here, we have the Cajun bells. These are a no-heat bell. They don't have too much vegetal, grassy flavors. They're kind of sweet. And then I have one more over here. Nothing like that, huh? That's because it's a cross. So this is what happens when you let the bees go wild in your garden. Grab my notes here. Next, let's scooch between these here. We can move on to the Jimmy Nardellos. Those are Jimmy Nardellos. These are some of the most loved peppers by everybody. They're not just super sweet, they have a nice, useful flavor. Ooh, that one's going bad. I'll pick it so you can see. Ooh, that went real bad. There we go. Every now and then you'll get a crack, and then a bug will make the hole, and it is done for. Throw that down there. So we have 4 of those plants going here. Great tasters. Seeing as I touched on those, we'll go to its cousin. Someone actually found a yellow pheno for those. So I have 2 yellow Jimmy Nardellos right here. These guys are really at a really shaded spot. It's only 2 p.m. here, and about 11 o'clock the sun reaches over those, and by 2 o'clock she's gone. Same as right here. The little corner back here is just barely still in the sunshine at 2 o'clock. These are some of my favorite peppers. There are 20 big old plants over here, as you can see. These are Marconis. It's an easy big one to get to. Look at how big that is. These are absolutely as sweet as you can be. There's more. Right here we got a whole bunch of them. Oh, look at that guy. Right back in here. Look at that compared to my hand. That's just giant. It's huge. And we have some more all over down here. That plant isn't as loaded as some of the others. Got some there. We have a whole bunch over here. That's pretty cool. Some of these aren't as loaded as others. It is what it is, I guess. I'm going to actually have to walk around or I'll break these branches. These are a bit bigger over on this side, actually. Giant guy there. Another big one. There's actually some ripe ones in here. Got some ripe ones over there. On this plant, that one's super long. Look at that guy. That's huge. Another huge one. Those are, maybe this is a little cross here, considering those are so long. Who knows? Kind of find out next year. Some more over here. There's one guy about to go ripe. Oh, you see that a lot with these ones. When they go bad, they liquefy in a way quite easily. The back side, those are some more big ones. Those are fun. Those are great peppers for toning down all of the heat that I have everywhere else in the garden. And then moving on to this section, I didn't actually get to this section last time. Completely skipped over it. Easiest to start with, I guess, are the garden salsa. We got garden salsa right here, and then right here. Those are plants that have quite the tongue sting to them. Another one right there. They're only said to be about like 30,000 heat SHU heat level, but man, do they sting. There's another there and another right there. Those are all of mine that I have for those this year. Then we have giant sweet devil's horn. I haven't gotten a ripe one of those ones over here, the ones in the back, but the ones in the front I've gotten a bunch of. So I don't know if these are actually correct or if those are correct. I'm guessing one of them is a cross, and I'm guessing it's this guy because they're not giant. We'll see though. And then we have a loot shower by 2. So this 15-gallon planter has 2 in there. And then this 15-gallon planter also has 2 more. These are a paprika type. They do have some heat, well, not a whole lot, but they have, as most paprikas that I've noted, have a tang to them, a different. It's not just a sweetness, but it's a good flavor. On the end here we have Gatherer's Gold. So this, I think, was actually the Gatherer's Gold, and this one over here was a cross. It was red. So 1 for 2 for those. Looking like 1 for 2 for those guys over there. That's just how it goes when you grow open pollinated peppers. And on this side, we have Chocolate Wild Wonder. I've grown these before, but they got a lot taller. It's not very big. This guy right there is more in line with how big they get. There we go. So those didn't get as tall as they usually do. Otherwise, they would have gotten a whole lot more loaded. Then we have Shepherd's Ram's Horn. See this guy pointing up into the sky? they actually grow upward. You know, but just like this, it kind of would be if it was, if the branch didn't hang down so much. There's some more right there. And then lastly on the end here is a Lesia by 2. Turned out to be just Lesia by 1, because we got these guys. Look at that, it's like a spinning top. Nice and thick and big. And, oh, that is actually just, yeah. Looks like it's the next plant over, but it's the same. This is a cross. Next, I suppose we could hit up these green stalks. Let me zoom out back here so you can get a better view. This top section here, you get absolutely loaded. But then, down on the bottom of these, they don't get so big. The sun from this angle is actually, where is it? I can't, oh, right there. Is actually still hitting them for a bit. Got this backside still getting hit, but once it's overhead, anyway, the everything on top grows out and gets bushier. Hey, Ruby. And it shades out these ones down here. This guy right here is actually a really good pheno of the matte black that I'm growing. But a possum or a raccoon came along, tore it down. Also did the same to this guy here. There's a couple of branches down there. These are some ornamentals that I'm growing. They're called Calico by Mutant. That was just one pheno that I saved from last year. And this is also just one pheno that I saved from last year. This is a really cool one. This is what a lot of the better ones last year look like. This is just one plant, and I saved, 11 of the best looking ones. Some of them actually ended up being these cool mutants. Under here is a mutant too. Same as over here. This was a really, really cool mutant. Let's see if I can get a better view of it. A little bit more purple in that one. I don't see any flowers though. But these are, on the tops of all of these, is an ahi charapita crossed with a habanada. No, it was a pink habanero. That's what these were, a pink habanero by ahi charapita. These are really, really cool ones. They get absolutely loaded. They are mostly sweet with just a tingle of heat sometimes. Over here, the pheno that I had tasted like just plain corn. And this pheno tasted like it was sweet corn. More or less the aftertaste. Like if you chewed up corn, swallowed it, you'd be like, that was corn for sure. And this one over here, I actually said I felt like it tasted like a pineapple Skittles. It was absolutely amazing. I've tried each one of these this year, and not a single one is very close to a pineapple Skittles. A little disappointed. They are at least completely loaded, which is pretty cool. There's orange one on the back. That one was crossed. I tried one thinking it might be a nice little orange Skittles. It was the first one I tried. Oh no, I had to pull out the ice cream. It was hot as hell. Also, as with the Cashmere by Fluorescent over here, the matte blacks that I have saved, I originally found one that looked like these. Right, this has a matte black instead of glossy. There's a Jalapeno by Purple Flash. Same as this guy right here, and that guy over there. The Jalapeno is a variegated Jalapeno found by mattspeppers.com. And what I found the first year was these right here, and I grew them again, and some of them actually came out variegated. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna have to grow those again, and they were amazing. I'll go to the back side for the other one. So the first two rows, or the second and third row, are those, I called them the bright purple beauty matte blacks. Look at this one, amazing. Who would have thought this is even a pepper? Look at the pods. They get nice and purpled. I guess the one up here is going ripe. And then nice and red when they go ripe. But if they get enough sunshine, all of the white variegation it produces goes bright purple. Then the green goes almost black. Then you have one like this. Just a different pheno basically, so it didn't hold the bright purpleness as much as the others have. Still has the cool pods here. But maybe that's because it's a cross, who knows. We got another one. This is another one of the matte blacks without the variegation. But those pods are way different. They're much bigger, which is very cool. So, maybe this is an F1, and maybe I grow it again next year, and maybe it turns out to be also variegated, but even a better pepper. Here's another one. This is kind of what they look like, although some of the pods, like this guy right here, is more of that triangle shape, like right in there. So who knows if that's correct or not. This right here is what they were before, nice and round. They would have been perfect pickling peppers, kind of why I saved them. They actually, a lot of times these ornamentals come with a very bitter taste to them and a offensive heat, I like to say. I think I tried one over here, and that is not a good one. So that's just what you get when you're crossing peppers. What else can I show you here? Oh, yeah, here's another one, another pheno. Decently sized peppers, worth pickling or something. Over here is a mutant. It's actually a Jalapeno by mutant. So these actually have usable sized pods. Hardly usable. Last year I got a much bigger one. Over here, those tiny little ones are hardly usable, right? But they might actually produce seeds. So we'll see. Down here are more of those Calico by mutants. Just very pretty and white. White and purple, anyway. Alright, moving on. I think that is all of the Annuums. I'll come back to the cool ones over there. We'll hit up these Baccatums, I'm not sure how you say that. Don't really care. It's more fun to say it wrong anyways, right? Starting over here. This is what I grew last year. It was a Brazilian starfish by Peppa Peach. It's more orange. So the Peppa Peach is actually this guy right here. This is one of them. There's an almost ripe one. Maybe it's fully ripe. Oh, there's more ripe ones down there. These are very delicious peppers with a low level of heat. But one of them turned out like this. He's pretty loaded, actually. I tried one, and it actually tasted a lot like the ahi crystal. This is the ahi crystal. They are, I hear, best picked when they're this lighter orange color, like right here, rather than when they get, they'll turn a fully bright red. And then here's another plant in the middle here. Then we'll move on to, if there's the back here, the ahi Guyanas. These are the green bean peppers. Just looks like green beans hanging down everywhere. I got 4 of these in here. They are amazing tasting peppers with quite the low heat. They get nice and long, not super fat. Some of them get fatter than others, of course. And then we have some more Peppa Peach. And back here on the other side also another pepper peach. In the middle we have this is a fun one, ahi erotica, or just, no, it's just called erotica, but it's also Baccatum. A lot of the Baccatums start with the ahi in the name. This one doesn't though. Lastly is a no-heat Baccatum over here. Well, no, there's one more actually, whoops. Lastly on the back side, this is called a Cap 455. This is a fully sweet pepper. And then the 4 remaining Baccatums back here are ahi lemon balls. Nice little balls, rather than a longer pepper. Last one back here. Oh, and this one's actually going ripe. Look at that. There you go. A nice lemon color. And then lastly over here is another species of pepper called a pubescens. Let me zoom out here so you can see the whole size. So there's 2 peppers in here. Pepper plants anyway. And it just gets as wide as could be. When I showed you guys last time, all we had was this bottom canopy in here, which grew out and down, and then, hi Stella. And then it shot up some more branches, and this might be 5 feet wide. This entire section just got filled with more and more and more branches and more flowers and more pods. These are real cool though. They actually get hairy stems. They're pretty nice. Nice purple cool flowers. And look at it. You might have noticed before. We got ripe, guys. Some of these are actually a good decent size. Let's see this here if I can reach that. There you go. Looks bad, but it's just a little coloring there. Alright, now we'll move back to, we'll finish up and do the chinense. Find my correct page here. Where are we? One more this way. Sorry, this is hard to do one-handed. So these peppers I am calling the treatment. They get the full sun once it comes over the garage here till, who knows, 9 in the morning, and it goes behind the tree, and then it rises up in the middle here, and then it's right there, and then it falls back behind that tree, and then over here, I don't know, depending on the summer, it's 5 o'clock or so, comes out, and then this whole side over here gets even more sun. So they really get a lot. Start in the back row here, it's easier to see. We got, oof. You gotta go backwards. Reaper by Jay's Peach Ghost Scorpion by Unknown. He's got a cool purple tip to him. And then the ones that are unripe are all purple and green. Next to that is a Rimmerhaus Fun Strain. This is supposed to be a chocolate pepper. Not at all. So that's just basically a cross. Next we have a KSLSB, King Star Lemon Starburst. That is the correct LSB, pheno right there. Down here is what I found most often last year. I like this guy here. The peppers were a lot bigger, and I was wondering, is this a new pheno? I think it is. Basically, it's just a bigger pepper, right? That guy's a little bit smaller. That's a lot bigger. And then next we have a Bahamian Beast Peach. This is a cool pepper. The beast is supposed to be a red one. Philly B of the Pepper Lovers Discord found this several years ago. It was as you can see, a peachish. It looks orange, but it's more peach in color. He found that nice pheno and then kept growing it and shared it around. And we have a chocolate gator grown by Kansas Gardener. That's a cool one that he shared around. And then I showed you before, this is the RB003. Just menacing. Everyone who tries these says it's one of the hottest peppers you can find. And then on the end here is a gator jigsaw. You can see if you zoom out, there's a big difference in color between this pepper and the one next to it, and those guys around there. That's basically the ripe color that it ripens to. They're a lower heat Chinense flavored pepper. As I move down here on the rows, I have a Ghost Droppings. This is an incorrect pheno. Oh well. A cross, basically. That's what happens when that happens. But this is loaded, so who's gonna complain, right? On the other side is the Citron. Let me get my phone back here. Little yellow guys. Got kind of loaded, but this thing back here absolutely shaded it out from the sun and it stopped growing any taller. Over here we have a Thor. 2 years ago I grew a Thor's Thunderbolt, I think it's called. And it did not grow true. It grew red, like this guy here. It's supposed to be a peach. See, this is supposed to go from that green to peach and hold on to that purple. Hey Ruby, how you doing? So one of these phenos, as you can see on the back, is getting a cool yellow. So it's going to this yellow before it's going red. I didn't see that last year, so that's pretty cool. Then I'll move to the front side here. Watch out, Ruby. And we have a Purple Death. These are cool. They start out purple, and they lose the purple and go green before they start to ripen. And they'll go this yellowish before they get red. But they got these real cool stingers. Next is a Tiberius Mahler Caramel. Yeah, that's not caramel. Nope. So we got another cross. And then next is a Jays by Pink by Reaper Lemon. Look at that. Nice whitish with a tint of lemon coloring to it. You can see up here they're just a green and a purplish hue. Next to that we have an Orion. The Orion gets very tall. See, this guy is taller than any of the others around it. They end up getting quite tall and are usually later to put on peppers, but being back here in this treatment spot where it gets a lot more sunlight than others, I put a decent amount of peppers on, but as you can see, compared to the others, it's nowhere near. Up here up top, it starts to get more right. And then next we have a Rimmerhaus by Ghostly Bubblegum. This is pretty cool, turned out. I zoom in here, you can see some variegation on the pods, some stripes. Let's pull this branch up without breaking it. Let's see if I can get that working. But yeah, the leaves are very colorful, very cool, very spotted. That's the trait of the Nymphadora is in this cross. The Nymphadora is very spotted. Very cool plant. And then in here we have a Hangstar Lemon Starburst again. Let's get that bad looking one out of there. You can get that now and then. On the end here we have two Dolomite beavers. This is another one of those paprika type peppers. There's two plants in there. And then last on the end is a Alma, which is the bigger white one for now. And then a Capla. Capla paprika is this longer one that's gone red. Two more Annuums, I guess. We have the Sesgadi 179 paprika, that's a hotter one, and the Melrose. This is one that was popularized down in the Chicago suburbs of Melrose. It's a sweet one with some cool tangy flavors as well. And the last five I didn't get to over here are, we have two Ahi-Charapita crosses. So this is an Ahi-Charapita cross. It was crossed with a Habanada, a no heat, and this is also no heat. Then we have the other one. This is an orange one. So I've tried these. These are amazing. It's candy sweet, that orange one is. It's literally candy sweet with a tiny little tang to it. Almost like the Skittles that this displayed last year. And then we have three more of these guys' uncles. Uncles or aunts, whatever you want to call them. I got one set of phenos, another set of phenos, another set of phenos from three different plants last year. I decided to just grow a bunch of each. And I thought, well, why not grow three more of them? See what we get. So this is what they'll grow to, actually, if you get them actual plants, instead of just putting them in the green stalks. And this guy over here, you can see he's a lot more loaded. So many peppers. And then I'll just reach over here, you can see that one. A lot of ripe ones over in that one, and also loaded. So yeah, we'll have to taste test those and see what they taste like. We can move on to the oval garden. Wrong way. Alrighty. This is getting to be kind of a long video, so I'm not gonna, I guess, go through all of these. But this one right here is the Dreamweaver. This is one of the coolest ones I have every single year. Look at that nice and pink peach by pink color. As you can see if I move the camera around here. The back side is where it's not hitting the sun or getting hit by the sun. So they're, wherever you see the more purple is where the sun is hitting it. Next to it over here is another Orion. That one got a lot more bigger peppers than before on the other side. Inside here we have a Lord Ruthven. This thing got loaded with peppers last year, and it appears to be also again, since I got the view in here. We'll go to the Golden Primatali. You can see these are more of a mustard color. Ruby wants to say hi again. Hello. But they're pretty cool shapes. They're not super stingers like most Primatalis, but they're nice golden. And then This is a good spot to get a view of these two. We have the blood ghost. These are a nice fruity ghost. More in there, and then on the end too. And I will step into here to get the gator jigsaw. Look at that guy. That's a big one. That's kind of a little off, you know, for the beginning ones, but coming out here, they actually are more true to the pheno, true to the gator scale. These are called jigsaw or gator jigsaws. I call them stump gators because I've grown them in this stump here, and I packed it with these rocks to keep the stupid squirrels from digging it apart. But the plant got absolutely huge. And we got more. All around it I have these blood ghosts. They don't take up a whole lot of space and get too bushy and crowd out others. So they're pretty good in here. And then in the middle here actually I have a purple phantom. But we'll take this since it's bad anyways. The purple phantom has a bubble gum as well. Looks like a bug wanted to make this a house. Probably an earwig. I hate them. And then first up here we have a Freeport orange Scotch bonnet. Then we have the Elysium oxide Scotch bonnet. And at the end, this was a caramel colored Elysium oxide Scotch bonnet last year. It did not hold up to the caramel color. So, oh well. That means it might have just been a cross. And then moving this way, we have the white Moruga scorpion. I don't know if this one's going bad there, maybe. But they get a nice cool white and cream color to them. Then next to that we have a salsa pepper. Kind of a big fatties. This is also a salsa pepper right here too. On the other side. And then a King Star Peach Starkist is what these are. Nothing on these front branches here, but here we go. Bigger and thicker than the Lemon Starburst. Then we have a purple gator jigsaw. Looks like the Orion. Grows like the Orion. Gets super tall compared to everything else around it. And it doesn't put out a whole lot of pods down below like the rest of them do. And then once it gets taller, it starts hanging some fruits. And then we have another blood ghost. I think some birds or some wind knocked some tags out of my plants. And I thought this is actually the purple phantom, so I meant to put him over here. But he got really loaded, a little bit bigger of a plant than the other ones in the middle. This yellow guy in here is an orange scorpion. Not orange. It turned out yellow. So I probably have a cross in my hand again. And then next to it, a chocolatey colored one is an Odin chocolate. This plant doesn't get super tall or big, it just gets a little bit bushy in here and then loads the inner nodes with tons of peppers. And then we have another KS LSP. These are good plants, good peppers. We have a cross here called Sweet Dreams. And then we got Lemon Yellow Brain. little bit of a brainy texture there. Some of our more smooth than others. And we have another Sweet Dreams, I think. 2 more plants in this little tiny pot. And then in the back here we have a Pink Tiger by Peach Butt. Peach Boot, whatever. Butt's funner to say. That's very cool. It gets a peachish orange and then it puts on this red antho on the other side where the sun hits it. This is a Santana's Bananas. Another cross of Whispering Pines Tea. And then over here, oh, another one. You saw this in the treatment over there. This is the Jays by Pink by Lemon Reaper. The slight bit of antho on the ripe ones is pretty cool. And 3 more Santana's Bananas over here. And a bigger pheno back there, a darker pheno on this side. And then we have the Bahamian Goat. Completely loaded. These are really cool peppers. Then we have Aleppo by Urfa Bieber. Crosses. So we have 4 of these here. There's one. There's another. Basically just growing several of the phenos to see which ones come out the best. We got Stella in here. What up, Stella? Here's the last one. This, you saw one of these out there at the treatment as well. What do we got here? Reaper by Jay's Peach Ghost, Scorpion by Unknown. And then next to it is a Purple Cream Bubblegum. Oh, there it is, the bubblegum calyx on the very ripe ones. And then next to it is a Fada's White by DD Purple. Gets that cool peach color to it. And then in the middle over here, which we skipped over, is a pink habanero. It's supposed to be a heatless habanero. Gets completely loaded in there. And then we'll move over to the, what I call the main garden. I guess I really got to revert to my notes here. There are 6 plants over here in these first 2 rows, which are all Bahamian Goat. That guy is a little peach, a little too peach, orangish. That's the correct pheno. Another correct pheno in there. And we got another correct pheno. But then again, we got a red one. So 2 out of 4 of these are incorrect. Well, 2 out of 6. Oops, I hit stop on the record there. That's the last one. And then we have lemon King Starburst. King Star, Lemon Starburst. Whoops. And then right there, another one here. Then we have a Peach Starkist right here, which was shared with me by Matt's Peppers. That turned out real yellow. So that's probably a cross or a different pheno, who knows. But both of these turned out the same, which is pretty cool. Then we have a Gator by Habanero, a chocolate habanero that someone made years ago and shared around. And there's one, and here's another plant. Oh, there's a smaller pod there on this plant. There's a bee after me, get out of here. And then we have a orange scorpion, like you saw that I showed the yellow version of before. This is more orange, but it's the correct shape, so
Same with over here. Looks like we got the first one ripening as well. A little bit yellow, but it's the correct shape.
And we have the Douglas Inception over in here. He's got really cool stingers. Look at that guy.
Alright, had to stop the video. So back over here we have
Primatali. Nice and brainy. These are super, super hot peppers. You got nice cool tails going on there. Then we have two plants over here, which are Rob's Folly.
And you can see over here we have some ripe ones. Nice cool yellow peppers.
Then we have the Kansas Gator
Jigsaw. Chocolate gator. It actually might have reverted back to regular gator.
So after the chocolate gator jigsaw, which actually is looking more like a regular gator jigsaw, we have three actual gator jigsaws over here. One plant here, one plant here, got pretty loaded. And the last
On the end,
some bigger pods on this one. A little bigger plant too. Then we have Dreamweaver. Dreamweaver going on right there. Alright, in here we have the Purple Phantom. I think this is a cross or a new pheno. It's got these really, really cool yellow and purple peppers. Big fan of how these guys look. Then we have another pink habanero right in here. This is supposed to be the no heat habanero. And then next to it we have Tom's Giant Peach Scorpion Lemon.
they got real dirty and splashed with dirt, but they're fine. That'll rinse off.
These are looking cool.
Then we have a habanada. Habanada gone red. So that's a cross. And then a habanada cracked. It's going that peachish color.
And then lastly, this plant might actually be dying. I keep watering it every day and it just keeps looking worse and worse. But we have a Trinidad Sweet. Two plants are Trinidad Sweet over here.
Who wants to try that to see if it's actually sweet? I kind of doubt.
The second Trinidad Sweet over here, this is what I would expect it to look like right there. Then the next row, we have basically all chocolates. We have Chocolate Massacre.
Gone red. So that's wrong.
Then we have Chocolate Primatali right here.
Oh yeah. Definitely chocolate. Got some tails, but not super big.
There we go there. And we have Hellboy.
Those look mean. That's Hellboy.
And then Lord Ruthven again, which I had in the middle of the oval garden. And then again, like I had in the oval garden, we have a very stout little plant in here. This is the
Odin chocolate, that's right. Where are we with the pods?
There we go. And then next we have the Swiss chocolate.
This is the first time growing this one. Looks like a Scotch bonnet shape there.
Where are we? Here. Oops, there you go. And then lastly we have a chocolate Goronong.
I gotta finagle my way in here. This is the chocolate gourmand. They got the cool wavy shapes, and then a chocolate bootla. Nothing in here ripe yet, but those guys are meanly hot. Next we have a Fatali by Brain Strain. This is a cross that I grew at starting, I think, F3 or F4. And I got a more lobe-shaped pods. So I figured maybe these aren't as hot, but are nice and sweet and fruity. So we'll just keep those going instead. And then behind them is an Apocalypse Scorpion. I don't know about that. And then after that is a RB003. I heard that these are very, very on pheno type plants. But this guy is not on pheno at all. But it is the most loaded plant in this whole garden section. That's kind of some big peppers actually. Very brainy, huge. So it's probably a cross. I gotta back up out of here. Let's see if I can wiggle my way through this forest here. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Alrighty. What is this? Oh, this is more of that RB003. Just loaded. It's got these branches just going everywhere. Loaded. Then we have the Purple Gator Jigsaw. Not many pods for this huge, giant plant. This is taller than I am. I'm 6'4". Then we have the Pink Tiger by Peach Butt. Back in here, we saw the very cool colored one out in the oval garden. The two in the back, I'm just going to skip. No Heat Primo, Trinidad Perfume. They're not doing much. Then we have Carbonero Orange Long. 3 plants in here. These are supposed to be orange ones. There we go, orange. This is also one, but it is red. So we got a cross going on here. But the third one looks to be alright. Next, we have a TTS. Right in front of me here. These look to be a bit bigger than last year. They're not orange, they're a lot bigger actually. Whoops. Yep. That's a pretty big pod there. So that's another cross. Then we have BBG by SRTSL Orange next to this guy. And it's red. So, actually I think it's supposed to be red, but that's the incorrect shape. So it's also a cross. And then there is Mantis Yellow Claw. The Mantis Claw Yellow. Is this one yellow? No. We have red. Whoops, I zoomed in. There we go. A nice red one. Wiggle up out of here again. And then we have Yellow Fever. These are a cool yellow pod. 2 of them. And then we have another Rimmerhaus by Bubblegum. By Ghostly Bubblegum. Much different shaped pods here. I can hardly see what I'm doing here. Whoops. And then next to them we have 3 Yellow Lemon Brain. Oh, Stella's hiding in here. What up, Stella? Lemon Yellow Brain. Lemon Yellow Brain.
Then we have chocolate bootla right in there. Maybe I can get a better view over here. Oh, it is a jungle back here. Let's see if I can't get down on the ground. And then we have another Lord Ruthven. That one is red, so it is incorrect and wrong. On the end here, I see no color. Those plants are doing crappy. We'll forget about them. Then at the end we have 3 no heat primos. No heater. These plants are like the ones behind it or in front of it, not growing too well either. Only a few pods back here. Oh well. Next up is 2 sweet morugas. These are cool no heat ones to add to get that chenense flavor without the heat. This one's actually doing all right. Another one over here. And we have 2 Granada seasonings. Is there a low heat? Not no heat, but a low heat. Chenense to also add that flavor without too much heat. Same as over here, another one of those. And then in the end here we have a Trinidad perfume. This is a no heat. I like those plants. Then the last row here we have a no heat primo cross. So I found this is an F2. I found the F1 last year and thought I'd continue growing, see what happens. Maybe I get one that's just no heat. Then we have 2 over here that are Frankenstein bubblegum. They're supposed to be red and bubblegum, but I found this yellow pheno last year. So that's kind of what it looked like. And this is also another one, but this one's red. And we have a
No. Right behind you.
we have a Starscream super stinger. So it's either a cross or a weird pheno. Last year I found one that this is kind of what it looked like, is this one right here with a big old stinger. That's what this one is also. But this looks like it is actually going to be a mustard colored pod. And then next to that we have 2, I forget what it was supposed to be, but I nicknamed it the Yeti fingers. These are nice long pods that are white. Whitish yellow. The one behind it here, you can see this guy, much bigger one. It's a very cool pheno. As you can see, the plants are not super tall, so they're kind of getting shaded out. If I would have put them somewhere bigger, somewhere out there, and they had all the sun that those guys do, they might have gotten a lot cooler. And this is a gator that went chocolate, and this is a gator that went olive. And it's kind of got a real cool peach color to it. So we'll have to taste those and see how they are, see if it's worth continuing on. Alrighty, thanks everyone for watching this super long video. Hope you enjoyed all the different colors and shapes. Have a good one. Bye.